Do you know what Gwaan is? It's where you can get news about the Jamaican culture and just learn about how Jamaicans are doing as a yard and abroad.
Salut tout le monde, ici Carrière La Flamme. T'aimes le reggae en français, en anglais, qui vient du Canada, du Québec et de la Jamaïque? Écoute Gwaan.
So rope in and come check out the thing now. It's Gwaan.
I live in the UK and I enjoy tuning in to Gwaan.
I am a big fan of Gwaan. I'm always looking forward for the great vibes, the great things. They discuss a lot of things that are going on in Calgary, across Canada, and of course Jamaica. So
this is what is going on in Jamaica. But check out Gwaan.
Every Friday at 7 p.m. Calgary time.
You get to learn a new Jamaican patois word or even a Jamaican trick.
I look forward to the patois word of the day, feeding my nostalgic mood with flavor and spice. Only Jamaicans can do.
Watch Gwaan.
It happens every Friday at 7 p.m. So check them out. And bye from Toronto.
Watch Gwaan.
Yo, this is Big Shot.
Watch Gwaan.
Relevant and entertaining, so keep up the good work.
Watch Gwaan.
tune in, share, listen to Gwaan.
Big up yourself. Gwaan 2022. Bless up.
Gwaan. Yes, Gwaan.
Watch Gwaan.
Always you're going to know what Gwaan in a yard. Check it out. 7 p.m. every Friday. Hello everyone. Welcome to another Friday, and it is time for Gwaan, and it's your favorite host, your one and only girl from Bongo Town. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world and watching this right now. Welcome to Gwaan. My name is Nicole, and I am currently settling in Calgary, and I am from Bongo Town, Victoria, Linstead, St. Catherine, Jamaica. So you see all of that play into each other, right? So welcome to another episode of your favorite show, Gwaan. Today the show promises to be a good one. We'll be talking to Dwayne Hines, and we'll be talking about promoting a literary culture in Black populations in Canada. So the show is going to be a good one because we want to look at, as it says, literacy in Black community. So guess you know what time it is, right? Time figure call your auntie, uncle, the neighbor, everybody down the road, send them a text, send them a WhatsApp, start do the live streaming, do something, but make everybody know that it's time for Gwaan. So today for the show, before I go any further, because I told you what the show is about already, before we go any further, it's one of my favorite parts of the show, and it's the patois word of the day. This one, so the patois word of the day is none other than kitchen bitch. So today, I understand this word to be one thing, but apparently it's a totally different thing. When I hear about kitchen bitch, I had it as them big knife, something there, like a chopper. That's what me know as kitchen bitch. So you now need to ensure so to drop it in the comment and tell me what kitchen bitch is, and also use it in a sentence, because me understand it for means one thing, apparently it's something different. So I want to see how many persons think it's the same thing that I thought it was. So remember, for make the thing entertaining and lively, remember, drop it in the comments and tell me what kitchen bitch is. All right, so that's the word. I'm not going to use it in a sentence because I understand it to be one thing, so I'm not going to use it into a sentence. So on last week's show, we spoke with Dr. Clovis Nelson and Mayor Clive Hines. I wonder if I'm doing Hines related. All right. And we look at Labor Day in Jamaica because last weekend was that long weekend where we celebrated Labor Day on the Monday. And we look at, what Labor Day is. And I learned a lot. That was a very interesting conversation. And I was calling on the producer to ensure that they bring back these two men, Dr. Clovis Nest and Hines, so that we can have another conversation because I would love to hear these two go off on more information about Jamaica. But the big takeaway is how we misunderstand what Labor Day is, right? And how we can use Labor Day to make a difference in our country and, and just change up the way we celebrate it. Instead of thinking of it as an holiday, let's go back to that civic pride where we use Labor Day as a way to build Jamaica. So if you missed the episode, you know where to find us. But if you don't, let me tell you, it's on Facebook, What a Gwaan. You can also go on YouTube and search for What a Gwaan. And please ensure you subscribe. Get your people to subscribe. So that once What a Gwaan start, it will pop up in your notification. So YouTube, or we're also on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, and we have a website. So remember to follow us. And if you want to see the episodes, check out Facebook and check out YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're trying to build a thing. Now it's what's happening in the news. So over there in Steinbach, Manitoba, tomorrow they'll be having a thing called the live music called the Reggae Grill. So come on out and enjoy sound of Yardi's band. It starts at 6 o'clock. So go on over at Steinbach, Manitoba. If you live anywhere near the vicinity there, go on out and support. In Montreal tomorrow, also Saturday, May 28th, join the Jamaican Association over there in Montreal for a tribute to the greats. There will be a lot of performances, and the King Shadrach, our first host of What a Gwaan National, will be on showcase. So go on out and ensure so to support the king. Showtime is at 10 p.m. Remember, some of the time longer, so night take longer for come. So 10 o'clock, be there, okay? In Calgary, the Black Film Festival has started. It starts yesterday, and it goes into Sunday. So go on to calgaryblackfilm.com. There you can see tickets and to get more information. Remember, it is important that we're supporting our Black filmmakers. So please go on out and support them. Also in Calgary, the JCAA, that is my association, we will be having a Father's Day celebration. It's an evening of dominoes, and that is on June 18th, and that starts at 7. Soup and festival will be on sale. Fathers will have the first drink on the house. So that is at JCA Alberta here at 8th Avenue Northeast. So come and check it out. It's going to be a good time. And next is the Jamaican Diaspora Conference. That is happening on from June 14 to 16. So please go to www.mfaft.gov.jm. There you go to register and to get more information. The conference is free, and the goal is for them to have 5,000 participants from the diaspora. So go on out, support. Remember, it's free, it's virtual. So please go on over and sign up. Next, it's Spot the Place. Again, folks, remember, we have to make the thing interactive. So when you see the place, we have to put it in the comment and make we know, all right? So time for Spot the Place. All right. So the picture is going to come up. So let me just give you a couple of hints. So this is the 19th century home of George Steeble. Jamaica's first black millionaire. It is also the home of the third best ice cream in the world. And it is located on the corner of Waterloo and Oak Road. Please drop it in the comment and tell me where this place is in the land of my birth. All right. Remember, drop it in the comments. And this time I know where it is, so I'm not gonna make any mistakes. So please drop it in the comments and tell me where this place is in Jamaica. So guess what time it is, people? Time for you go grab on a crackers and some tea because it's time to hold a reason.
Hey, what's up, Nicole?
I'm good. Your voice sound don't do it's because flames get
No, well, you know what? Somebody have to win, right? So I go. So somebody have to win. No, we all can support the Oilers, and all of Canada can get behind the Edmonton Oilers. You know, it's a long time now. The Canadian teams haven't won the Stanley Cup, right? So
okay.
hopefully we can make something happen. But it
All
was
right.
a fun series. It was a fun
Yeah.
series.
Okay,
All right.
good.
I see you don't want to take on the kitchen bitch thing. We'll get to it a little bit more. But today we're going to talk about literacy and literary culture in Canada and about
Canada,
Black
yeah.
people. And for the Jamaicans watching the program, hopefully they can tie that particular Jamaican concept or item with the
Yeah.
whole issue of literacy. So we'll go with a reason and then we'll come back and talk a little more.
Yeah,
All right.
man. Yeah, man. Have a good reason.
All right, cool. Greetings again, folks. Welcome. Thanks for watching Gwaan National. And as we have a reason, today we have Dwayne Morgan. I know Nicole called him Hines. I'm not sure why, but Dwayne Morgan. And I tell you, when you hear this guy's bio, you can understand why we want to talk to him, right? He's a two-time champion of the Canadian National Poetry Slam competition. He started a foundation called Up From the Roots Entertainment way back in 1994. He's a finalist in the Toronto Arts Foundation in 2021. He's also a finalist in the Rita Davis Award for Cultural Leadership. He was the 2018 winner of the Sherdy Wilson Golden Berry Award. He's won spoken word competitions and a number of things. He's performed for former President of the United States, Barack Obama, former Governor General of Canada, Michel Jean, uh, so many things. He's published 14 books, and one of his books has been translated into French, Le Making of L'Homme, right? And there's so many other things. It is my absolute pleasure as we discuss literacy and the literary culture in the Black population here in Canada to welcome Dwayne Morgan to Watagwan. Dwayne, welcome.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the conversation.
I tell you, and I should tell the people that I only read about a quarter of your bio, so there's clearly a lot that you have done. But before I get into the depths of the conversation, I know your parents are Jamaican. Have you ever heard of a kitchen bitch?
Tonight was the first time I heard that one. I was like, let me see what the patois word is. And when she said that one, I was like, well, you had got me stumped here. I've never heard that one in all of my
All right. Well, later on we'll share because it has something to do with literacy,
Okay.
right? And that was a big push way back in the 70s in Jamaica. But let's maybe start. And you've been in this industry and this sector and for a long time. How would you describe what's happening in the literary world in Canada, especially among the Black population?
It's interesting because it's very, most people don't realize how big Canada is. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. There's a lot of Black people who are writing and putting out books, but the country is so big that you don't even know about, each other. So people are doing things in in Calgary and Vancouver and you don't know about it, and people are doing things in Halifax and you don't know about it, and people are doing things in Montreal. So it's very fragmented, but there's actually a lot of things going on. There's actually a lot of Black people who are writing and putting out books and just doing a lot of really cool and interesting things. So um, I think it's very encouraging, especially to see younger artists coming up and taking to writing and expressing and in my case, performing a lot of the material that they create.
Right. And I'm glad you talked about the fact that there are tons of people involved and doing work. The big question in my mind is, are they getting focused, and how do they get more focus on them?
It's an interesting thing because when I was starting out, you know, people would say, "Hey, do you have a book?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't really have a book." And I had to figure out how does one go about putting out a book. And when I went and researched different publishers and stuff like that, they would tell me that they don't like how I use the English language. They don't like what I'm speaking about. They don't think there's an audience for this. So for Black writers, we're still up against a lot of those things where people think that people who would enjoy the work that we do don't exist. So I think, it really starts first with a community approach, with making sure the community goes out and supports your work and tells people about your work. And from there, you develop this thing where, when people are coming into a store asking for a book and they don't carry the book, and enough people come in, they say, well, maybe I have to carry this book.
Right.
That's how you start to get it, into the stores and start to get a little bit of traction. So, there's a big piece of community involvement where the community has to see, hey, this person is doing this thing. I need to rally around this person, because until we do that, and until the gatekeepers kind of see that, hey, there's an audience here,
Right.
they're going to just keep overlooking us and putting out the same stuff over and over again, supporting the same people, the same voices all the time, because they just don't think that we exist.
That's an interesting point, but I want to segue it a little. I just want to come back to community because I think community has a role to play. But I want to go into culture a little bit first about, is there a reading culture? Is there a culture that focuses on literacy and literature and that, side of us that then feeds that? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, we are very unique in the sense that we have people who have won Nobel prizes coming out of the Caribbean and stuff like that. So definitely in the Caribbean, we do have a culture of people reading and literature and being extremely good at it. But we also come from a lineage of people who are orators and tell stories that are just in their head and not necessarily written down. So everybody watching this must know Miss Lou and Muta Baruka and a lot of these people who are of a different tradition. But I mean, even Muta and has stuff in book form and that sort of thing. So where we have both. So it's not that we have one or the other, but we're a people who have both.
Right.
I do think that we gravitate a lot more to the oral
Right.
side of stuff, and the stuff that we can listen to, and maybe this one have a reggae beat behind it, and so you can vibe with it in a different kind of way. And we definitely need more people on the reading side of things, just to ensure that those young people who are coming up, who are writing books to be read, have an audience and have a pathway to success.
Right. And, I'm glad you talk about the oral culture, because there was a time, and literacy in Jamaica, folks, is somewhere about 88, 89%. Canada is at about 98, 99% in terms of adult literacy rates based on how it is measured. But there was a time doing when there's sayings like, if you want to hide something from Black people, write it. Right. Because there's a tendency for us to have these oral agreements, and we operate in a very unofficial way as it relates to documentation and process. And on top of that, there's come out a little thing called social media, which in some cases amplifies that oral tradition. How do you evaluate the impact of social media on the literary culture among the Black population?
Well, for me, social media has been a great thing because it has allowed me to amplify my work. And, what a lot of people don't often realize, because, people say, well, I can't really put my poem, online and stuff. Somebody might steal it or this or that. And I don't worry about all of that kind of stuff. If somebody in Baltimore steals my work, how am I going to know about it? So it's not really a concern of mine. But when I put it online, you never know where it's going to go. And it can always travel further than you can without a plane ticket. So I've been invited to Germany and to different places because somebody saw a poem on YouTube or they saw a poem someplace else. So the spoken word helps to make the world a smaller place. It helps to find an audience outside of your immediate circumstances. So given the way the world is going now, and the fact that it's easier to sell books to people in different places in the world, where we're no longer conditioned or in a position where you only have to think locally. Every artist or anybody doing anything should be thinking globally and should be thinking about how do I use the technology at my disposal to find audience and supporters outside of my immediate circumstances. Because the other
Right.
thing is, sometimes people say, you're never going to be the king in your own land. All right, well, let's use the social media and become the king in some other lands. And
There
when
you
you
go.
start to see, hey, these people is checking for me and these people are checking for me, then the people in your own land say, oh, you know what, I need to check for him too.
Right.
So you have to use what is in front of you and use it to your advantage.
That's interesting. And as we talk about technology, because I'm going to say the seniors have been maybe more inclined to the traditional literary approach: buy books, read books, buy books, read books. And then comes technology. There are ebooks and there are books that are reading at you instead of you reading them. How do we balance that out? And you as a writer, especially for your senior audiences, where does all of that fit in terms of building that culture, maintaining that culture?
Well, with my career, I mean, I still put out books, so I'm a big believer in having people read, and I also understand that there's value in books. So a number of my books are used in schools and stuff like that. If you only have your material on YouTube, nobody's going to just use it in a classroom. People want to be able to see a text and show it to young people and go through it line by line and dissect it and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of value in actually having things in book format. But then I also have albums out. If people want to listen to the work, then they can listen to it. I work with musicians, so if people they don't want to take in too much of the message, but they just want a nice vibe, bam, then they can listen to that as well. So for me as an artist, it's understanding that I'm selling myself short if I only focus on one particular audience. My job is to figure out how do I cater to all of these different audiences who can potentially support what it is that I do.
Right. And what I'm hearing from that, Dwayne, is the need to transition and to evolve, because you've been in this thing a long time, and with each I'm going to say generation, you've had to adapt in different ways. How do we then get community and community organizations helping with that adaptation? Because isn't that part of what's needed for it to gain more success?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, our ability to adapt is tied to our ability to be successful. I think one of the problems with a lot of the organizations that I see in our community, regardless of where we might find ourselves, is that we don't do a good enough job of bringing in new energy, of bringing in young people, of giving them the opportunities to lead and to teach us what their world is like. We always want to impose upon them, what we think should happen. And one of the there's a lot of younger artists that I mentor, and my philosophy in mentoring these artists is that, I will give you everything that I've learned, and in exchange, you have to teach me what I don't know.
Right.
Because the reality is, young people growing up, they're experiencing a world that I know nothing about because that's not how I grew up. But
Right.
you have to be humble enough to say, teach me. I want to learn. I need to learn. And that's the only way you stay relevant. And you don't just become, oh, there's that old guy who's been doing things for 30 years. And, you get put in you're still alive, but you're in a museum. And that's how people look at you. So, the young people that I work with keep me fresh, keep me inspired, keep me thinking in different kind of ways. So I think as artists, as organizations, we always have to look at how do we empower young people and how do we humble ourselves enough to be teachable so that they can allow us to see how what we do traditionally can be done in a new way.
Right. And the other part to that is whether or not the new or the younger generation wants and sees literature and art and all of those things as a complete part of the society that they want to build. Are they seeing that for books in particular, Dwayne?
I mean, even with a lot of the younger artists that I work with, there's not as many who are saying, "Oh, I want to put out a book," but the ones who have put out books have seen the value in it because it opens up so many doors that otherwise would not be opened up. As I said before, somebody buys the book, they like it, they bring it with them to the UK, their cousin in the UK picks it up and like it. Now you have an order in the UK. Now, a couple people like it. Now they invite you to the UK. There's so many things that can happen simply from, just putting, this work out. So part of my responsibility is trying to show these younger artists the value of putting things in physical form, because even the threat as we get so inundated with technology is we have to remember that we live in a society that if people can't touch it, they don't believe it.
Right.
If they can't hold on to it, it doesn't exist. So you also want to make sure that you have something that is tangible that people can hold on to and it has your name on it. And this can always go in a museum or go somewhere and say that this happened, this thing existed. So it's really important that we not just, put everything out digitally in a way that nobody can physically say that this thing existed.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit. Dwayne, you've done a ton of different things, right? Talk us through the journey a little bit, especially in the literary space. You performed for, the President of the United States, the Governor General of Canada. When you started off the journey, did you see that as some possible outcomes and achievements?
Absolutely not. So this isn't even something that I wanted to do. Most people don't believe when I say, but I'm actually a very shy, quiet introvert. I never would have chosen to do anything that would put me on stage. But you know how it says, in life, opportunity is going to come or you're going to find a gift. And the gift doesn't matter if you're shy or introverted. You have to do something with that gift. So, I took it and I've run with it. And at first I was just a young kid in high school, just trying to talk about things that were going on with other young people who looked just like me. And then, I started my business and started putting on talent shows so that other artists like me would have a platform to go and perform and find some positive outlets and things to do. And, then, like I said, I started to put out books and albums. I've been able to tour and perform in 18 countries around the world, places on the globe that I never imagined that I would ever be. I found myself in these places just, sharing poems that I had written. And, it took a while for my parents to come around and realize that I was doing something that was valuable because, as immigrants, everybody knows if your parents are immigrants, you only have a few options: doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's it. Anything outside of that, or maybe a nurse, outside of that, forget about it. So it took a while for them to come around and really be supportive of the work that I was doing. But it has been, a tremendous journey. I was able to, Miss Lou invited me to her house before she had passed away, and I just sat there for a few hours and just listened to her tell me stories about, her life and stuff. And I've, opened up for Muta Baruka, and Muta has had me come down to Jamaica, and I performed, down there and done stuff. So, I mean, it's been a great journey the last 29 years.
I'm glad you bring that up because I want to talk a little bit, and I know the clock is ticking, but we have a little time. Talk a little bit about the subculture within our culture that doesn't see art and literature as a path. You talk about your parents and how they saw it. How has that affected kind of where the sector is for Black people today? Why there aren't maybe more achievers where they don't necessarily see it as an economic path? How has that affected it in your view?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that it's slowly changing. But I have to think, when I think about the lack of support I got in the early years from my parents, I also have to understand that when they were in Jamaica, nobody said, "Hey, let me go down to the poetry show. Let me go to the art
Right,
gallery." That wasn't part of the reality. So,
right.
in terms of art and viability, it was really only through, reggae and dancehall. It's just through music. That's the only way that people from Jamaica were being recognized who were artists. So, now that there's so many of us who've spread out around the world, and we're doing things, and we're using, what we learned from our parents in our work and in this new, generation, and now we're teaching the next generation coming up. We're starting to see that change. We're starting to see more success stories and more young people coming up saying, yeah, you know what, I want to do art and I want to get into art. So now we're seeing, the Jamaican film is starting to bubble up, and there's, so many little things that are happening, whether it's podcasts, whether it's in the music, so many different artistic things that are starting to happen, even in fashion. So it's definitely evolving, but at the same time, I try not to, blame my parents in any kind of way, because it just wasn't part of their reality growing up.
Yeah, and as you talk about that, as we move into a different culture, so you've done all of your work, you're growing up in Canada. The Canadian government and a number of institutions have many things in place to support this journey. Let's just dive into that just a little bit to talk about and expose, especially somebody might be watching who is still questioning, is this a path I should go down? What are some of the things that people can look into around this area of art that can give them a spark to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, Canada is really great in terms of its support of the arts. And it's not even so much that Canada really loves the arts. It's also that our neighbors to the south do such a good job of promoting their culture, that in order for Canada to have any kind of culture, we have to invest in culture, because otherwise everything around us will just be, the American perspective. So uh, we have the Canada Council for the Arts, and anybody involved in the arts can just kind of go on there, sign up, and try to look for different grants that you can apply to and see if you can get money. Every province has a provincial arts organization that gives out money for things that are being done in the province. And most of the cities, especially the large cities, also have arts councils that fund things that are going on in the arts. It's a bit tedious at times trying to do all of these, applications and tell people what it is that you want to do, but it's better to put in the work to try to do that, and to hopefully get some support to help your vision come to life, than to just sit there and say, oh, I have no idea how to go about doing it. So I encourage everybody to just get online and look for, you could start with the Canada Council for the Arts, and then look for, the provincial. And if you're listening in the UK also has a lot of funding for artists as well. So definitely tap into that. I can't remember what it's called over there, but there's a lot of funding for UK artists as well.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting thing though, Dwayne? Because part of the cycle there is you have to be inclined to write. Right?
Absolutely.
You have to, it's back to this culture that we're talking about of, if it were a case that everybody could just go in and do an interview and talk about it, or whatever, then chances are more people would see it as viable. But it does require some amount of sitting down and writing the thing, no different than it is sitting down and writing a book.
Yeah.
So we end up in that cycle, don't we?
Absolutely. You can't get away from it.
Right. Let's talk about the future a little bit. What's the future for, the people, the Black people in the arts here in Canada? Like, how does it look to you?
I think it looks very promising. And for any Black artist, especially in Canada, like if you haven't taken advantage of the last 2 years, you're a bit behind the game, because with the tragedy that happened with George Floyd, we have all of these people now looking at diversity, looking at, oh, you know what, we haven't been including Black people, all these kinds of things. So if you are a Black person doing anything, there are people looking to amplify Black voices, Black talent, Black experiences, Black businesses. And we should be positioning ourselves to exploit that as much as possible, to make sure that we're finally, getting the opportunities that have been denied to us simply because, people never thought to look to see if we exist. So, I think the future is very promising, because I know a lot of people who are taking advantage of this moment, of the fact that everybody is looking for Blackness and Black expression, and the thing, as an artist, I've learned that I can't always just be focused on the art that I create. I also have to be just looking at what is happening in the world around me and looking for where are the opportunities, and tailor what it is that I'm doing for where the opportunities are going to be.
Right.
Sometimes we're so steadfast in where we want to go that we don't realize that the road is veered off, and now
Right.
we're going into a dead end, but the road is still carrying on in a completely different direction. So we always have to be, present enough and mindful enough to be paying attention to our present circumstances and where things are moving towards.
That's interesting. And for those who are watching, if you've got questions or comments, please, I see a few, but throw some more in there. I mean, this is an awesome conversation with Dwayne. Dwayne, the road can take us a lot of different places, like you said, and Black has become sexy and in some cases profitable if Black people tap into it. Are community leaders seeing that, and are they helping to amplify that? Or is it the artists alone who have to be pushing the weight or pushing it uphill?
For the most part, I think the artists are doing their thing. I see a lot of community organizations who are trying to do a lot of stuff, because sometimes the money goes to the organizations, and then the organization have to figure out how to filter it out. So I definitely do see some organizations playing that role, and I think in an ideal situation, everybody's kind of working together towards the same ends. Unfortunately, we do often have those times where there's people doesn't trust this one or that one, or all sorts of unfortunate things. But I definitely see artists definitely leading the way, especially in terms of the arts and culture sector, and a lot of the organizations following suit and kind of looking at what direction the artists are going in, and trying to take things in.
Yeah. And as we go into wrap up, maybe the last question is, you get a chance, you said, to talk to a lot of young artists, people going into different areas and maybe more the literary world. What's your plea or appeal to them and the community at large as it relates to helping to build this literary culture, especially around Black people?
I think the most important thing is that understanding that everybody has a story, and everybody's story matters. Sometimes, depending on who we are, how we grew up, where we live, we don't think that there's any value in how we've seen and experienced life in the world. We don't realize that by sharing that, there's somebody who could get inspiration or guidance or something from what it is that you shared. You never know that there might be somebody who's struggling, but they might hear your story as simple as you think it is, and that story sparks something in that person. So I think the most important thing is to understand that everybody has a story, everybody has, lived experiences that are extremely rich and valuable, and the only way they truly become valuable is through sharing them.
And that is an awesome way to end this. Everybody has a story, folks, and who knows who your story will inspire. Multiple award winning artist, the author of 14 books, and the list goes on. Dwayne Morgan, it was an absolute pleasure having you on Watagwan.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so
my
much.
friend.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. That was awesome. I hope everybody had a good little chat. Let's soon come back. Wow. What can I say? Nicole?
I know. I must apologize for saying doing Heinz, but it's Heinz on my thing. So yeah, but so it's doing Morgan. Yeah, but that was a very good conversation. And so some very key things to me, but I specifically like the last question, where everybody have a story. And sometimes we think our story is small and insignificant, but you never know when you say it, who it are going to speak to. So
Well, that's true, right? And I think part of the whole issue of art and writing is, you've got to be confident in the story that you see. Like for every artist, what you see today is just what you see, and you can only express that. And
yeah,
once you have expressed it, it becomes art and hopefully inspires somebody else, right? Like you think of all the artworks that you've seen and the books that you've read and the
right.
poems, etc. It is just coming from them who knew where it would go, right?
Yeah, true.
Right. And I think that's one of the interesting things you find. I don't talk about my stuff. I've written a few books myself, and
Oh, really? So why is that a secret?
it's not a secret. It's possible. It's just not something that I talk about a lot. And it's interesting because I have gotten orders from the UK, from Italy, from all over for my books, and I always smile at it and say, "Boy, you never know, how a guy in Germany is translating my work, or somebody in South Africa is making reference to the work that I have done."
Oh, but since you mentioned it, the name drop. What are these books? Where do we find them?
Go,
Like,
go Google it. That's what my kids would say. That is
oh,
true.
well,
Google it.
true. Interesting.
Right?
Hey,
But
you live
but
and learn every day.
there you go. So it's
Yeah.
part of the thing, right? It's part of the thing. Anyway, like I said, good reasoning, and
Yes.
let's see what people say, and let's see if we get anything in the comments. All right, I'll leave you
Yeah.
alone for the next little bit. All right.
Yeah, man. All right, cool. Okay, folks. So, assignment for today. Let us all Google Donovan Simon, and that's Donnovan. And Simon is Simon. So, now going on to Google Donovan Simon, and let us all see the books that he has written, and let us support the man thing. Because, I mean, I didn't know that. Not that I know Donovan very long, but I never knew that he wrote a book. So then you have Google Donovan Simon, go and check out Dwayne Morgan, look at his books, and it is important that we support our own. Watson Marcy, at our school, we incorporate some of the publications of both Dwayne Morgan and Lawrence Hill. I know this is not easy to answer, but who are some Black Canadian authors you would recommend for high school students to read? Well, Mr. Sir Watt Morris, again, as I said, see, Donovan Simon just said he has written a book. I don't know what the book is about, but I'm definitely will be Googling that. And maybe something that you can also Google and see what he has written and see how applicable it is can be for a high school student. And if you put it in Google also, you will see other Black Canadian authors. I'm thinking no, I can't remember his name, but the person who wrote Book of Slaves, I think that person is a Canadian author too, and he's Black. Peter Augusta says this is Podoroso. Sorry, I'm sure I'm saying your name wrong or what that thing wrong, but loving the vibe. Thank you so much, Peter. Yes, so check it out, and again, support. We all saw when upon the death of George Floyd, how many people were calling for us to support Black businesses, Black authors. So go on all the time, not because it seemed to be dying down that we can't still support. So go on out and support. But key today is to Google Donovan Simon and Dwayne Morgan. We have to see what Donovan has written. Donovan is a very good speaker, so I would want to imagine that it's a very well written book. So please go out, Google, and we will be sharing it on social media. All right. So for next week's show, we will be looking at global Jamaica glo- the global Jamaica diaspora. And we'll be talking with Kashane Denton and Nyla Gordon DeCiccio. So remember, it's at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, so that's Alberta time or MST time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So check it out. Gwaan comes on then. Remember to follow us on our different social media platforms. So that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and on our website. Send us email if you want to ask any question or any information you want to get. Just send us an email, or you can send us contact on our social media pages. We also, when the what are going to start to see those little clip where people are saying, oh, one blah 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 blah. Send us some video with you telling us about you watching what are going, and we will feature it. We'll drop it in that little thingy that happens at the start of the show. So send it to us through. Oh yes, I'm not seeing any comments with what thing kitchen bitch is. But people, I was today age. I will tell you the age when I know that this is what a kitchen bitch is. So this is me call this in my country, me call this tilly lamp. So this is what a kitchen bitch is, and it is also used as a symbol for Jamal. Do folks remember what Jamal is? Jamal, I don't think Jamal is in Jamaica anymore, but it's the Jamaica movement for the advancement of literacy. And this was from in the 1970s, way before I was born, right? So this is what a kitchen bitch is. Did all of you know that this was a kitchen bitch? Cause me never know. Today me know that. So as you say, that is the thing with learning and reading. As you live, you learn. And I must say I had fun being the host of What a Gwaan over the last, probably 9 weeks. But today is going to be not my final, but my last stint as host of What a Gwaan. You'll see me again in the next rotation, but I had a blast. I really love coming on here and, interacting with you folks. Our new host starting next Friday will be Nadia, and she joins us from Winnipeg, Manitoba. So please remember to come on out, support the thing, and go on the YouTube page and go subscribe to the channel. So for the last time in whenever, it's your girl from Bongo Town saying, checking out. Have a good weekend.
Hi there, my name is Nadia Thompson, and it's my absolute pleasure to be joining the What a Gwaan team as your host for the month of June. I am coming at you live and direct from Winnipeg, Manitoba. It is my absolute pleasure to be hosting our Friday evening live streams on Facebook and YouTube. So mark your calendars, invite a friend. It is an interactive conversation with great guests and wonderful topics. Gwaan National, Friday evenings, 7 p.m. I will see you soon.